Nice.
So, you know,
So you do weight loss scenarios and emotional body healing. That's wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I incorporate all of that because I want it to be, 100% holistic. So it's not only just working with a specific block of a problem. I also go for the maximum healing I can at the end of it. Find out where, I ask them if there's any addictions that they had, in the pre-talk. Is there any questions that you need to have answered? Because when you're in that deeper state at the end, your higher self can answer and give you all the information that you need at the end of it. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
A lot more information that's helpful in this present moment.
That's wonderful. What do you do rebirthing? So you were talking about?
The hypnosis is exactly the same thing with the rebirthing. You take people back to their birth experience, but really that birth experience is set up by what you're trying to bring in the unfinished business. You will set up an unpleasant birth. Some babies will have a very unpleasant birth, but it will trigger off the emotional bleed over. Some people, like way back when they used to have cesarean birth and they used to pull the babies out, hang them upside down and smack them. That brought a lot of lack of self-worth, a lot of pain. They were looking forward to coming to this world, and all they do is get dragged out and smacked. And then painful eye drops put in their eyes, and that sets up a whole precedence in their life, and insecurities in their life as well. But I just find that that the past life regression seems to roll all that up, so I don't bother doing the rebirthing anymore.
Makes sense. Okay. So I noticed there's a lot of things blocking, like memory retrieval, like going into traumas in kids, things that we purposely, I don't want to remember that, and then like things abusing those programs and making it worse, so that it's like hard to remember back, and those all be blockages to going to remembering the birth and the process of going into the fetus and the infinite self, and connecting to the deeper aspect of the heart where its origin point, and healing all that timeline. And it's just like waiting, and it usually can't really be resolved easily unless you're in a high state of consciousness and like trance and going into super consciousness. And then releasing that deep anchor as you decide to go deeper into yourself to bring that back up, and release it. Have you ever gone into anything of like going back to remembering what it's like to be in the fetus, as well as the heart, that like the cells that first form when you're being created in the womb?
No, I haven't, because basically the soul is hovering while the fetus is being developed, and and they usually say that the soul doesn't actually fully embody itself into the fetus until after birth, or perhaps sometimes even still floats for a couple of years prior to that, but it's already in and out. So then it imprints all its cellular memory into the cells. And but the thing is, I have sometimes when I have taken people back into regression work, they've gone into some of their experiences in this lifetime as a child, and then I'll let them go through and go through that and see where that was all created, and then I'll ask them, ask the higher self, so is this connected back into another past life? Is there a root cause why that this situation was caused? Sometimes people have a fear about going into a past life because their belief system isn't very strong about reincarnation. They're more religious, and so sometimes they'll pop into this lifetime first. And then once they've gone through the childhood stuff in this lifetime, they can easily slip back into the cause, back into the lifetime where they first created this problem and brought it through, in order for them to learn and experience, and and realise that they weren't the victim. They came through for this experience, not only to teach themselves, but it's a soul contract with their parents as well.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Well, deep. Yeah, and does that also give you any regressions for like interacting with resolving the DNA lineage technology, like of the ancestors and their memory?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was saying when I was this previous one. It was talking about it went back six generations back into the ancestors. But I thought let's just go through and just clear all the ancestral lines. So I asked the higher self to bring back through the frequency, and I got them to visualize a beautiful pink golden ball of light going back through all the ancestral line and dissolving all that imprinting. And also to dissolve all that negative imprinting out of the cellular memory, out of the bones, tissue and blood, and then through all timelines. Mm-hmm. So, I like to expand it through everything and so that there's nothing left.
Love that. That's very holistic. What's your awareness that your work has brought to you about DNA programming and the DNA technology?
Well, what I put in my belief system around the DNA is that it can be changed, and nothing. Like I believe there's nothing set in stone, and our belief system, our thoughts, and everything can affect everything. And there's been scientific studies, and I think Dr. Joe Dispenza is a brilliant one on that one. And, how you can change your DNA and affect your DNA strands. And there's other people now saying that you can do certain meditations that can actually increase your DNA strands up to 12 or to 24 strands, and it opens up all different potentialities and different timelines. So it's very untapped at the moment, I think, and I think that's probably a future way to go as well. To look into the DNA and change whatever you need to get changed in it.
What kind of stuff would you say to a person that says they can't be hypnotized?
It's their belief system. If they believe they can't, they can't. But usually I get around it. A lot of the time they're going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So I set up a whole precedence right at the very beginning now, and I find it very successful. Is that right at the very beginning, before I even start, I just ask them, do they give me permission to take them into hypnosis? And as soon as they give you permission, there's an aspect of themselves that allows it. And then I ask, will you give yourself permission to go into hypnosis? And I still had a gentleman a couple of weeks ago now that he was still struggling with it, and it's his belief system. I think there's a bit of fear based in there. So then I had to ask his physical body whether it would give permission. I asked the emotional body. The emotional body went crazy and went, oh no, I don't know what's going to happen if I allow this process to go through. And they got a vision of their inner child. And so then I had to do a whole thing about healing the inner child and getting them to embrace and show love to the inner child and say, you're going to be safe. You're not going to be destroyed. Nothing's going to die or be taken away. What you will benefit from this is a great healing, wisdom and understanding. So will you allow this process? And as soon as the emotional body gave permission, that person could go back.
Nice. What kind of things have you observed in blocks in a person having to do with vision, daydreaming, imagination, and experiential perception and sense?
Everybody's different, so that's really all relative to the person. There's some people who can actually drop down very easily, and they can get vision of it. Some people are more audio, so it comes through their audio senses. It's what they feel, their feelings, and what they can hear. So what can you hear or feel around you? Because they're not getting any pictures, so they're not getting a vision. But when I ask them to go through their feeling, all of a sudden a vision will pop up by itself. They'll get flashes. It's everybody's different, just depending on where your gifts are or your abilities are. I'm very visual, but I can't take it for granted that anybody else is as visual like I am, and you're visual. But there's a lot of people who aren't, and so I have to go through their feeling and what they feel and sense around themselves, and then all of a sudden they'll get a flash of a picture or something.
Lovely. I'd also like to, because we tried doing this call before, and then my laptop got mysteriously destroyed, and then
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, right. So whatever, we'll do it again this time. So like going into the concepts of the awareness that is very needed in culture is like everyone can be hypnotized. It's not to stay on the definition of hypnotism, which is under like mind kind of like people have a fear that's like about mind control, and it's a tool you can use in different ways, whether somebody wanted to name it badly or not, whatever. But getting past that and realizing there can be a safe place, and the body has all these defense mechanisms, and if you meet the needs of all these different aspects of the self, then it opens up, and anyone can be hypnotized. And so like the blocks to getting somebody there, getting past the blocks to getting them there deeper and deeper is like the key. And like one of the greater secrets of hypnotism that somebody can do for each individual, and that is getting better, such as Debbie, which is really good at it and can get most people, and and the people that need help and the ways to do it, it's mostly having to do with a way you've described it as well. There's like blocks that we found mostly having to do with emotional, mental, some body trauma and other things, and sometimes spiritual trauma or drama or overwhelm, and sometimes, and also the ego can get in the way.
So let me describe something that a lot of people. Hypnosis has been given such a bad publicity in the past, especially around, the Manson group of people. They were saying that he had hypnotized them to murder and all this sort of stuff, which was totally ridiculous. But they were drugged. Drugs can take over, and you can control people through those drugs too. But all hypnosis does is, and everybody goes in and out of hypnosis every day automatically. They just don't realise that when they're watching TV and they just get really relaxed, they're in alpha. That's just a light state of hypnosis. But when you're in alpha, you're highly suggestible. So that's why a lot of people say it's not really good to be watching too much, especially with children in front of a TV set, because their mind, once they get into that alpha state, highly suggestible. And so they can get programmed very easily through the TV, on which they are being all the time, and through their video games. But also, all hypnosis basically does is it connects the subconscious mind to the conscious mind and allows the information to come through from the subconscious. That's all it does. It doesn't render you unconscious. It doesn't allow anybody else to take over your mind. If someone tried to put you into a deeper hypnosis state and tried to get you to do something against your will that you don't have a propensity to do, you would never do it. And when I take a person into hypnosis, they're just going. I take them into theta, which is just one below alpha, which is just a nice, relaxed state where they can access all the answers through their subconscious, which the subconscious is the gateway to answers to everything. And so it's very simple, it's very easy, it's just a relaxed state. You're still consciously observing what's going on, you've got full control. You can just open your eyes and go, I'm done. Sit up, go to the bathroom, lay back down and be back in it. I've had people having to go to the toilet twice, halfway through a session. And I just say to them when they're in that state, as soon as you lie down, you'll be back into this state and you'll continue. And they do. So it's not like it's some hard control thing that you can't move your arms and you can't move your body, you've got no control. It's just a deep relaxation. There's no fear base around it. And I think when people understand that and how simple it is, and that even when they're driving, I'd call it, I'm on autopilot. What's driving your car when you're thinking about other things? Yeah. Subconscious. Yeah, it's all there. You're in that state.
Exactly. And as an example for people that kind of don't understand, yeah, and like people, someone might be like, I don't fear hypnosis at all. And it's like their body and ego and other aspects might be very on edge about it based on the past, because there's going to be things happening to people's energetic unseen that they don't know about. And a lot of the blocks will, like, when you're tracking back, oh, what keeps me from going deeper and deeper in trance? If you were to see it as like an onion of going deeper into yourself and like layers and layers and layers, and what it takes to go deeper in levels, it would be like, oh, what you can ask yourself, whoa, what do I gotta do? And it's a lot of resolve and release, and letting go. Like one that like keeps someone from going deeper is an example. Oh, this trauma where the ego is like in high stress status because it's having to spend energy to compensate against something that's trying to program or control them, which is like an energetic mission from another person, and projecting onto them in unawareness. And most physical people don't know when they're projecting or being controlling or other stuff. It's just energetic, and it goes into their personality and other stuff, and unawareness of things that they're avoiding in not acknowledging about themselves. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna detach from that person and push back, because it'll ask, and like that layer will come down, and like the ego will like free up, and it's like, okay, I'll let you be able to drop down deeper, and then something else will come up, and it'll be a lot of emotion until that's done, and then a lot of mental programs and ego, and then until you've gotten to the core deeper and deeper stuff, and you'll notice that it just like flows, calmness, like rejuvenation, all that stuff kind of comes back to you, which is part of my future dream of figuring out the secret of, like, it's kind of like where you're going into these states of deep subconscious trance state, and learning how to tap into the super consciousness and bringing up those benefits of the super consciousness to the now. And a lot of that is like going down deep and unhooking those deep programs of self-defeating stuff that like hold back and block, which will be like external programming. So like people like Debbie and me are working on this, so help us out and spread these videos and stuff. But yeah, and what other kinds of stories have you gone into that were really interesting to you, that like unlocked a whole aspect of your understanding of yourself in the universe?
I suppose some of the past life regressions, like there was one where there was one of my clients was an alchemist on another planet, and the deep learning being taught by masters up on that planet. And some of the information that was coming through those teachings, and then like she was saying, I was in that lifetime as well, in a different section, being trained by some masters there, and I was like, oh, I was thinking, oh, maybe that's why I was so drawn to a lot of this work, because obviously you look back and you're tracing back to some of your life experiences or past life experiences that help you to get that inner knowing. Because when I first started regression work, and I basically only started doing it, like I said, for family members and friends that were, had some dire straits, and I started to realise that I actually just intuitively tuned into the whole process myself. What the course that I did nothing didn't cover anything to do with past life regression. It was just basically weight problems, emotional, abuse problems, but it never encouraged you to go back and do past life. And so, but my higher self took me back into taking people back to the root cause and asking to go back to the root cause lifetime. Ultimately, took me into a past life regression, and I just intuitively flowed with that whole process, and it just evolved and evolved and evolved to where it is now. And I realised that's coming through from another aspect of myself from where I have been before. So that's been really helpful. And I just find that with people, when they come to me, I just ask them to trust their process, because there's a lot of fear about, oh, what if I see all this stuff and I was a bad person and I don't want anybody to see me as a bad person. There's a lot of fear around that too that will block. I don't want to show who, because some people feel it, deep down they don't know why, but they feel that somewhere deep in them they've been really bad, and this is why, all this is happening. And I just say, then there's no judgment here. It's just experience. We just come into experience, and you just got to trust your process. And whatever you unravel, it's not going to be judged. It's just going to be for you to clear and move forward. And that just all came through intuitively, people, even though I've gone and done other courses, and I've done Dolores Cannon's course and found out that she intuitively put her course together almost like identical to mine. And that was back 30 years ago, and I realised that in a higher aspect of ourselves, we've had other experiences that we brought into this lifetime that help assist us to be where we're at now. And I'd say the same thing for you. From your genetic past life, your DNA, and your spiritual past lives, how highly evolved you are, and that you chose to come in at this time to use those gifts and to help other people to reach and attain theirs. So
nice, thank you. Yeah. Deep.
Yeah.
Thank you. That gives me a lot to think about. Also wondering on what your perspective on using hypnotherapy to go deeper into oneself, into reclaiming their power, their divinity path, going into the super consciousness in the sub, and what have you found there? Because it's kind of a bunch of questions, but
yeah,
and the concept of bringing out their dormant, unlocked abilities through that.
Okay, so when I've gone taking people back and they've actually accessed a past life where they had these abilities, they've had some really amazing alchemical abilities, super consciousness abilities, and there's several people that have got amazing gifts back in those lifetimes. At the end of it, I ask the higher self now to bring that back into them now. And so bring that aspect, or that soul shard, bring that soul shard back embody into this lifetime, so that they can, start using those gifts again, because that's why they have those gifts. That sometimes they forget who they are when they come through the, what they call the forgetfulness or the unknowing, when you come through and everything is a clean slate until you. Some people are born with full memory, very rare, but there are. But there's one particular person that has become a good friend of mine anyway, was aware that they had some gifts in this lifetime, but weren't aware of the nature of some of the other amazing gifts that they had on this other planet, and their the work that they did with the Council of 13. And so I got them to go. Well, they were sitting in with the Council of 13 and making major decisions for different planets and for different evolutions and all sorts of things, and that awareness. And I asked that awareness to be brought back into this body and into this lifetime. And so they have complete access to to that council, and they do amazing readings themselves and all sorts of stuff. But they just said it changed their life because it opened up more gifts than they ever thought that they had. And so when I have a person going back into a past life, that I recognise that there's gifts in there, I ask those gifts to come through. Sometimes there's some people go, I just wish I really have a desire to become a healing. I ask the higher self if it can open up and enhance gifts of healing, and to open up those I wouldn't say portals, but those streams of consciousness to come into their body, and those gifts to assist them. Yeah.
Hey, and what is your perspective on using regression in their ascending pathway to become their greatest, purest version of themselves, like an ascending tool?
Before I start a session with a person, and I'm setting up the energies with my guides, and I also call in their guides, and I also call in protection and stuff like that. I ask their higher self to co-create with mine, and to allow them to go to their highest potential of healing and clearing. This is what I ask for before I even take them into the regression. So, I ask for that highest potential. It's because we're not all capable. A lot of people aren't capable right now to reaching the highest, potential. So I ask their higher self to take them to their highest potential that they are ready for right now. That's all we can do. You can't take people higher than what their awareness and their belief system is at. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And otherwise, it's like, go, and then it just like goes back down anyway. Yeah. Have you noticed any, like, what kind of dramatic changes have you seen in the clients that you've seen, like in difference before and after, as an example, if you don't mind?
A lot of them, because I do a lot on Skype, I get a lot of good feedback on, how people's lives have shifted. Family members that haven't spoken to them for years, as soon as they've finished their regression, all of a sudden the phone starts ringing and they say their daughter or their mother or somebody, that hadn't spoken to them for years that they really had issues with. It's rolled up somehow, and all of a sudden those doors have been opened again. There's just so many different potentials and stuff there that it's really hard to cover them all. But major life changes for some people. Other people just major healing and understanding. And I just ask people, don't come in with any expectations. Just let's see what's going to unfold for you, and we'll take it from there. Because if you come in with an expectation and it's not reached, you can negate your whole experience, and then you can block whatever is going to,
That's true, and how we get out of our own way.
Yeah.
So, like, if you like this content, please share as much as you can, and subscribe to us, and hopefully, it will bring us to create more content. Ask us if you want more shows like this, and we will keep cracking away at the different information, wisdom behind regression, trance, and the deeper aspects of the body and the spirit and beyond. Can you list how people can get a hold of you for your services?
Yeah, I've got a website called bluerealmhypnosis.net, or you can contact me through my email. It's just dsmartt, SMARTT, @live.com. Feel welcome to contact me, and we can, ask any questions. If you're interested in a session, that's great. But if you just have questions, I'm really happy to answer.
Wonderful. And yeah, you can please do contact her. She's so good. And if you want to get a hold of me for like past life readings or any other, like body programming or other surgical kind of scenarios, yeah, and I still recommend, like, you need her experiences. You can contact.
People should contact you also if they feel like they're getting energetically and psychically attacked. You're a very, very powerful healer on that one, and you can trace back the source and where it's coming from, and you can clear it. I know a lot of people have mentioned to me that they've felt like they're psychically attacked and whatever, and I do, can I do that? And I would prefer to send you to somebody who's a master of it, and that's Sean Bond.
Oh, I really appreciate
that. Clearing blockages and energy, and things that have been coming towards you or being thrown at you that you don't know where it's coming from. Sean can trace it back.
Thank you. And yeah, please see Debbie. She will best like past life regression I've ever gone, as well as she can go way beyond that. If you have a scenario that you need attention, just like list all the things involved, And also, if it's guarded into going deeper into your power, she's also really good at that. I entered a unique scenario of trying something that I don't really know anyone that's talking about, in going deeper into my source connection, and being able to emanate that more. And it's dramatically different in effect before and after, and increased knowingness, psychic abilities, powers quite amazingly. So can't recommend her enough. Yeah, and if you want to get hold of me, you can reach me at psionicleague.com, as well as I'm on Facebook, Sean Bond, and silvercordspiritualscience, YouTube, and some emails, silvercordspiritualscience@gmail.com. I also have a scheduler. That's the easiest way to reach me. But yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all, and please spread it out all around. And the more we see that people like this stuff, the more content we will create. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful night. 222 here. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please show your love and subscribe to this channel for more content. Click that like button and share this video. The more people I see watching, the more I know what content people like. The more motivation I have to film and create. Mostly I'm doing this by myself, so the extra little push will definitely get me into action. And blast that notification bell to get the latest alerts on release. Comment your questions and possible future show ideas, what you think, below. I may end up answering those questions in the next show. Links are in the description if you want to contact me for more info, possible consultations, distant healing, massage, DNA programming, past life readings, and much, much more, as well as the services demonstrated in this video. Go to the psionicleague.com if you are interested in joining the league. Love you all so very much. Thank you for all your support.